the shooting or the abduction by some folks in a van, that was unfounded. That is we've not been able to verify that at all, and in fact confirm just the opposite.
A chilling text from Florida teen Caden Speight set off a statewide Amber Alert, frantic searches, and fears of a violent abduction. But within hours, this case took a stunning turn. The van, the gunman, even the kidnapping, all in question. We're going to break down all the twists in this bizarre and rapidly developing case with a local private investigator with exclusive insight into what really may have happened here. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so this case all began with just a single terrifying text. It's a message that no mother could ever imagine receiving from her child. I need help. 4 Hispanics in a white van, 1 driver, I'm shot. Can you imagine receiving that? That was the text that 17-year-old Florida teen Caden Speight apparently sent to his mother on Thursday, September 25th. And within hours, law enforcement issued a statewide Amber Alert. Deputies in Marion County, they mobilized helicopters and canine units and patrol teams. Social media quickly filled with desperate pleas from family, friends, neighbors. This story blew up. But then I will tell you, the story took a very unexpected turn, because while authorities searched for a white van with 4 armed men, someone spotted Caden, and what they saw didn't match the chilling message that he had apparently sent. And that only deepened an already strange and rapidly developing mystery. So what really happened? Well, let's break it down. So on Thursday at around 4 p.m., deputies responded to a report of a missing teen supposedly caught in a shooting near the 12,800 block of Southwest Highway 484 in Deininger, Marion County. And at the scene, they find a vehicle belonging to Caden Speight. No Caden, though, nowhere to be found. And almost immediately, that is when the case escalated. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the FDLE, they issued an Amber Alert, posting on Facebook, quote, a Florida Amber Alert has been issued for Caden Speight, a white male, 17 years old, 6 feet tall, 150 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, last seen in the area that I just mentioned. He may be in the company of 4 unknown males, possibly Hispanic, traveling in a light-colored van. If located, do not approach. Call 911 immediately. Now, Speight was last seen wearing a t-shirt and blue jeans. He was considered endangered, possibly the victim of the shooting, right? And the story was terrifying, right? A teenager apparently shot, stuffed into a van, 4 kidnappers on the run. So the panic spread quickly online. And at the center of it all was one piece of supposed evidence. Caden's mother, Annie Speight, shared the alarming message that she said she received directly from Caden, which read, again, I need help, 4 Hispanics in a white van, 1 driver, I'm shot. That single text fueled the initial panic, and it led deputies to believe that Caden had been kidnapped. He was in immediate danger. The family's desperation obviously was palpable. His sister, Bailey Speight Clark, pleaded on Facebook, God, I just want him home. I can't sleep, eat, or do anything, not knowing where he is, and if he is safe, please don't stop searching or looking. Now, meanwhile, search teams, they scoured the area with helicopters, canine units, patrol officers, social media filled with frantic posts. But then, by early this morning, things changed. The Marion County Sheriff's Office began to reassess the original claims. And in an official update, they announced, quote, primarily at this time, there is no evidence to indicate that he was taken by 4 Hispanic men in a light-colored van. It is possible that he left the incident location on a black bicycle with a red and gray tent, which he purchased at Walmart on Southwest 19th Avenue Road in Ocala just prior to this incident being reported. So the question, of course, is what did investigators end up finding out? Now, we'll get there, okay? But first, to help me break all this down, I want to bring on criminal investigator Billy Lane. Billy, so great to see you. First of all, explain your organization and also explain how you got involved in this case as was developing.
Thank you. Thank you for always having us on here. So we have a nonprofit organization called We Are the Essentials for the Missing. We're based out of Central Florida. We're a nonprofit. We go out and search for missing people on behalf of the family for free. Our job is to help gap the bridge between law enforcement and the family when they need the assistance of an additional set of eyes and set of feet on the ground, to actually go out and start looking for their missing loved one when they don't have the answers from law enforcement, or there are circumstances that where law enforcement is unable to provide those answers. So this case here started for us like most other cases. We got an alert on social media that this young man had went missing. Now you can imagine we get alerts all the time throughout the week, sometimes multiple alerts a day about different missing people. But this started to progress differently because of the narrative of what was being said about how he went missing. And then within minutes and hours, we were receiving hundreds of messages and tags and Facebook and social media about this case, begging for our involvement in the case. And at that point, within a couple of hours, we had a Amber Alert that came out, and then that really set, I think, that the internet and the news on fire about this case because it was so unique and so bizarre.
Now, you might think by watching Sidebar, you've seen it all. I will tell you, think again. 50 Ways to Catch a Killer brings you real cases where detectives had to flip the script to take down cold-blooded killers. Hosted by 50 Cent, this isn't your typical crime show, okay? It's a high-stakes, twist-filled ride into the minds of investigators who think outside the badge to break the case. From unforgettable setups to shocking reveals, every episode proves when killers think they got away with murder, think again. Watch 50 Ways to Catch a Killer with 50 Cent exclusively on Fox Nation. Yeah, what were your initial impressions of this? I mean, the idea of a text message, my gosh, it's every parent's worst nightmare. I mean, to receive something like that, you're hearing this description. What are the initial steps you take? What was your initial reaction? I mean, what do you do once you have this Amber Alert, once you have this idea of this message? What do you do?
So we were shocked like everybody else, and so we start breaking everything down, possibilities versus probabilities. We start looking at where the incident happened at on the street, middle broad daylight, 4:30 in the afternoon, allegedly shot through the front windshield of the car. So we're assuming that the assailants came from the front of the vehicle. My initial thoughts, other than the kidnapping that they were talking about, was the fact that this could have been a road rage incident. Maybe he cut somebody off, they cut him off, got out of the vehicle, shot at the vehicle and possibly hit him inside the vehicle. Now, what didn't make sense to me and our team was that you don't want to kidnap somebody after you shoot them. It's very messy. You're trying to take somebody that is injured, that's bleeding. There's a lot of crime scene. There's a lot of DNA everywhere. And what good would that do? What was these people going to benefit from this? So based on the whole narrative, it just didn't add up. It didn't hold water. Because you have to think it all the way through. A, why would these people target him? Why would they do it at this location? Why would they do it at this time of the day? The possibility of somebody seeing it, I believe, was extreme because of the time of the day. If they were targeting him to kidnap him, they could have done this at any time, whether it be him leaving school, home, work, in a much more isolated location. So that was concerning for us. And it raised a lot of red flags. And even our team internally, we were talking about what was going on and when should we try to be involved and effective, but we didn't want to interfere with law enforcement because we want them to do everything in their power to save them.
So what happens? By this afternoon, everything changes. Everything changes when the Marion County Sheriff's Office released these images capturing Caden completely alone walking with his bicycle. There's no van, there's no Hispanic men. There's not even any signs of panic, no signs of a shooting, no signs that anything was amiss. A local witness, Jackson McClure, even told WESH2, I passed by here around 4 o'clock and there was a boy getting something out of the truck and shoving it into a book bag. And then about 10 to 15 minutes later, I believe he drove by my house on a bicycle. He looked normal and he wasn't struggling to ride his bicycle. And then, during a press conference this afternoon, deputies issued this update.
The shooting or the abduction by some folks in a van, that was unfounded. That is we've not been able to verify that at all, and in fact confirm just the opposite. What we did find out is that Caden Speight did stop off at a couple local stores, including Walmart, prior to this incident occurring, and we've distributed some photos of him there at the Walmart. He purchased a bicycle, a sleeping tent, sleeping bag, and I believe he has a backpack with him, wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and evidence suggests that he left from that scene on the bicycle.
So what initially seemed like this violent kidnapping quickly unraveled. Deputies soon confirmed that while Caden was still considered endangered, he had not been kidnapped. Instead, evidence suggested he left the scene on his own, riding the bicycle he had purchased earlier that day, and then even more news came that turned this whole investigation in another direction. The reaction to the news on the Marion County Facebook post was kind of mixed. One user wrote, "Honestly, I was thinking how suspicious it was that he texts a family member that he's in danger instead of calling his family or even the police for help if he was truly in danger. I hope it's more of a case of a runaway instead of a kidnapping, though." Others expressed unwavering concern and prayers. "I'll still keep my eye out no matter what. I would want that if that was my child, whatever he's facing and going through, praying he is safe and reunited with his family." And then after that dramatic twist, there was finally some relief when the Marion County Sheriff's Office issued this update. Caden has been located safe in Williston. This investigation is still ongoing. More updates will be provided as they become available. Okay, now Billy, what do you make of that? What do you make of that update?
It's troubling. It's disheartening sometimes because you think that what you see and the circumstances that you're responding to is everybody takes it for face value. And honestly, I think what I had a problem with and our team had a problem with was, could he get that text message off before assailants were able to advance upon his car to take him out of the vehicle? Could he have the wherewithal to be able to make that text message and send it before they got to him? Or the other concern was the phone was broken. So did the assailants who allegedly took him out of the vehicle, did they send that text message and maybe was trying to put law enforcement onto a different path? Maybe they made it all up and they really didn't, that wasn't true. Maybe those people that they were talking about, the four Hispanic males in the white van, was a total throw off. So law enforcement's chasing down a ghost and they're really getting into a red truck and they're, whoever. So that's the concern that we look at when we start looking at these things. But to come to find out that he purchased a bike in advance and that he got on the bike and drove away, and then this situation unfolded like it did, it's disturbing and it's disheartening. And unfortunately, I think it affects the public because it's a crying wolf scenario, and we don't want the public to think we went through all this emotional drama with this family for nothing. Because the public helps us. It helps law enforcement. They're the ones who have their eyes out. They're the ones who are looking, like this gentleman here who actually seen ride past on the bike. That's a major clue. And whoever located the video, which I believe was the sheriff department, amazing job. Kudos goes to them because they stuck with it. They didn't give up. They kept on this case and they continued to investigate this case until they were able to have some type of resolution.
What happens now in the investigation? They need answers as to what happened here. What does that look like?
Oh, man, I think it's going to be a long debrief with the young man. Ask him why he did this, what happened, maybe going back through his cell phone, trying to find out if he was manipulated. There could be some level of exploitation here that we're not aware of. Maybe somebody convinced him to do this for whatever reason. So we just don't know the full story. And I would suggest to everybody not to jump to a conclusion until we know that full story and figure out exactly what happened. I would like to say I'm thankful and our team is thankful, and we're gracious that God gave this young man another day to be on earth with us, because there's too many of these stories that turn out to be tragic. And we're shedding tears, not being thankful that he is still here with us. Now, whatever that circumstance is, law enforcement will get to it. I'm sure the family will deal with it. But right now, I believe the family mostly needs some time to deal with whatever's going on, whatever crisis he was in, or whatever situation lured him to leave his home. He seemed like he was a great young man with a great supporting household.
And what's interesting also is they changed it, my understanding, was from abduction to endangered but voluntary departure. In other words, right, it's not that the alarm is done. It's not that the risk is over. There's still a concern that this person is missing, might be endangered, might be in trouble. It's just not a case of that they were taken, that they were kidnapped.
Correct. So he could have been manipulated and lured to do this. As you can understand, exploitation throughout the country is all about grooming people and getting them to do something that they normally wouldn't do. So until you have him with you, You don't know what the circumstances are. Yeah, he might have purchased a bike, he might purchase a tent, and that might draw a picture of a conclusion that we may be able to come to, that he voluntarily walked away from his life. But until you really find him and make sure, A, he's okay still, because you don't know. This still could have been another scenario that we're not aware of. He could have done that to create time that would allow him to go someplace and do something that would be unthinkable.
Look, I'm just happy he's okay. This could have been a radically different situation, a radically different conversation, and we might not even have had a conclusion this quickly. Obviously, there are still questions. Obviously, people will have opinions out there, but I agree with you. Let's find out the facts. Let's find out the story. And I will just say kudos to the online community. Kudos to law enforcement for acting so quickly, issuing that Amber Alert. But again, we're just happy that he's safe. We will find out what happened. And Billy Lame, thank you so much for the work that you and your team do as well.
God bless. Thank you so much.
And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you should get your podcasts. You can follow me on X or Instagram. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll see you next time.